하지만 이거 나노 자리야.
셋의 고에너지 자리야. 고에너지가 100의 탱.
配合阿晴的一波原始暴怒跳脸上，而自己又砍了一下，再杀再杀。
빠져있는 상대들을 밀어주면서 앞쪽으로 이격시키다 보니까
原始暴怒加上布置，这个电磁脉冲必须要有效果。电磁脉冲交出之后，机动坦冲了上去，看起来是打出了相当不错的成果。是的，看一下扎利亚那边能收吗？安娜抢进来。
Hello everybody and welcome to the Overwatch League. Joining us here for the APAC matches actually. We're still in the qualification period, I believe, Josh. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Listen, sometimes the days they merge together and I forget what I'm even doing in my life. But in this moment, I know I've got one purpose, and that's to cast Seoul versus Chengdu.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a weird game. But they're arguably the two most inconsistent teams in the entirety of the league.
Yep.
Chengdu coming off a win against the NYXL last week. And what they're all playing for is qualification seeding for the Countdown Cup. Yep. And that's kind of a weird position that we find ourselves in, because the Dynasty are at the bottom of the pack, despite actually, in my opinion, playing well recently. They've just been losing close games or close maps. And then the Hunters are 1-0 with a win over New York.
Yeah, and honestly, I cannot think of a worse team to play against if you are Seoul, just on the basis that Chengdu seem to be in a bit. I mean, more recently, I think have been sort of leaning on some of their strengths of what they were known for way back last year. They tried to go through a new phase of Chengdu recently, but to start with, we're talking about Seoul, and they have made some new directions, at least when it comes to their support lineup. Going to be opting for creative, which is intriguing. Maybe to add a bit of, you told me not to do this when we were rehearsing, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the joke. To add a bit of creativity.
No, you're right. That was a fantastic one.
Yeah,
absolutely
really
worth pulling that
I'm
one
glad
out.
I made that again.
Yeah. Well, Creative has played 2 maps so far for the Seoul Dynasty, both losses against the Guangzhou Charge in one of the fastest series that we've seen in the Overwatch League so far. But that's not necessarily indicative of Creative's skill. He is a very good flex support, so that's interesting, because Badoshin, as far as I'm aware, is normally a pretty vocal shot caller for this team as well. You also see Illicit in there. That implies to me that they're going to play a lot of Tracer Genji. That's what Illicit normally plays when he plays on this team. And then Gesture is coming in as well, which might seem obvious, but last week they were actually trying to play with Marvel and Michelle as their tank duo, which, considering that Marvel's been playing off-tank all season long, was a bit of a weird swap.
Yeah, a little bit odd. Yeah, going in one direction and taking it the other way. On the other side of things, we of course have the Chengdu Hunters, and they are going to be rolling out with the same lineup that they did previously. That's of course Jinmu, Eamon, or the classic names, Molly as well. Molly, who I think is one of the most underrated players I think that we've got in the league. It's a little bit difficult, actually. I think, playing on a team of like Chengdu, when you just get these. People focus so much, I think, on just the weird and wackiness that this sort of team likes to display, that sometimes, you know, Molly just gets sent to the sidelines, which is a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. They've been playing a pretty good Zen Mercy backline last week against New York, and Eamon's pulled out his Wrecking Ball. They have a much higher Wrecking Ball play percentage than the league average. I think it's somewhere like they play 25% of the time versus league average is 7%. So obviously this is a massive strength for the Chengdu Hunters. And then they've been playing Jinmu on the Genji and Eamon on the Ashe. And Leave on the Ashe, which worked really well against the NYXL last week. New York just could not figure out a way of being able to break it. They tried playing really slow. They tried playing even slower. They tried running a Sombra. They tried playing Sombra really slow. They basically ticked all the boxes.
I got a little bit annoyed watching New York. I think it's like they were regressing into their old ways. They used to be known as quite a slow-paced team. You know, quite defensive, I think, is the term we would use. But I feel like it's been proven now, at least from last year with the Vancouver Titans and the San Francisco Shock, and even this year as well, that generally speaking, playing fast is the way to go if you want to be sort of clocking up wins and forcing mistakes out of your opponents. But we're heading into the game. First map going to be Lijiang.
And I think that this match generally is going to be really interesting, because Seoul's lineup that they're fielding implies that they're going to play a lot of Genji Tracer Dive, which is a very fast-paced composition. But it's not really that good against what Chengdu were running. I mean, it's alright, it's pretty decent, but considering how good Eamon is on the Wrecking Ball, it can be a little difficult to be able to find good dives, because Eamon consistently disrupts you, boots you out of position, and just kind of messes up your attempts at getting people into position in the first place. Also, they're going to start out on control center. So if both teams are going to start off by playing Genji kind of dive-esque compositions, then honestly, that's just the way this entire series is going to go. If you play Genji dive on Lijiang control center, you're playing it everywhere. You are just sticking to it.
Yeah, we've seen some teams, at least in the NA side, they've been playing towards the strengths, I suppose, in the control center. We've even seen some Genji Reaper compositions.
Yeah.
I am not a huge fan of it, but I can understand the concept of it in close quarters. You can get a lot of value out of it. But alas, we're here, we're looking at this game as it's loading on our screen. Seoul Dynasty versus the Chengdu Hunters. And the Chengdu Hunters, of course, the Zarya to accompany him. Lately, I'm going to be able to bubble him. Tries to enable him to go in here, but it looks like Seoul are the ones who want to be diving in first. Alyssa gets the opening pick-off onto Leave, which is just going to basically enable them a free fight win.
And this is totally what you have to do. I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't occupy that space and try and deny the Resurrect there onto Leave, but otherwise a really good opening attack from the Seoul Dynasty. They are going to have to do it all over again though, and Jinwoo's found that early pick onto Illicit.
This is absolute chaos. Seoul Dynasty are trying to punish them, but Chengdu are just going to be battering them straight back here. They find the opening pick, as you said, Josh, onto Illicit. No more Genji. He's not going to be building up his blade. Jinwoo's just trying to find a couple of stray shurikens. He's not able to just touch his mark. What he was looking for, but Eamon in the meantime finds Michelle somewhere in the world, and this is a bit unusual. Seoul are just kind of trickling bodies away.
Yeah. For the Seoul Dynasty, so how do they win with Genji dive here? Genji Tracer dive. They need to try and force out the coach gun from Leave or force out bubbles from Late Young and get a dive onto somebody. It doesn't necessarily have to be those people. They could go on to Molly if they wanted to, or Yveltal if they find a really good opportunity. But generally speaking, they need to force out cooldowns first. And so Chengdu's job, specifically Eamon's job, is to consistently distract, boot them, put them out of position, allow time in the fight for Leave and Jinwoo to pop off. And that's what Jinwoo's going to look to do in this fight, because they have got all their ults online, especially this Dragon Blade.
Well, Rally's going to be used preemptively, but Molly enters with a Transcendence.
No idea what that is.
Anyway, that's all good, because the game continues, and it feels like Seoul Dynasty don't want to coming out on top. 2 kills for them. Alyssa going to be diving into the backline, gets a tremendous amount of damage off. Is able to at least collect 1 or 2 kills. Jinwoo will go down, but that's okay. Still going to be saving onto that blade. Good news if you are a Seoul Dynasty fan, though, is that you've won the team fight, and Creative still holding onto that Transcendence, which is going to be great for countering what Jinwoo tries to do with that blade.
On the positive side, Seoul did a really good job of forcing out cooldowns and then jumping in. On the negative side, one of those cooldowns was a Transcendence, so I don't really understand what Molly was doing there. I don't know how you get yourself in that position. Chengdu should have been trying to go aggressive with Jinwoo's ult, with the grab perhaps as well. They still have it available now though, so not in a terrible spot.
Oh, he can lay down the mines.
He can boot so many people into those.
Really terrible positions, but he's just going to get battered into the corner by Gesture with the Primal Rage, and they take him out. Meanwhile, Jinwoo somehow finds a kill onto Profit, which is going to be removing a lot of damage. But the Graviton Surge, I should say, is going to get committed to this fight. Ultimate's coming out. Illicit finds 1. Will he find 2? Meanwhile, we switch to Jinwoo's POV. Jinwoo! What an absolute madman. He puts in so much damage, but it's not enough. Meanwhile, Late Young's going to be chasing down Toby in the upper rafters of Lijiang. Don't ask me, guys. I just commentate. It's up to Josh to try and break this down.
I mean, that was a decent attempt from both of the Genjis. I think that Chengdu held on to their ults for a little too long, but it didn't really hurt them at the end of the day. Illicit did a great job with his Dragon Blade, but Chengdu had really done enough. They had forced the positioning, the minefield was crucial in that, and they got a decent grab and blade out. Seoul Dynasty is still going to be able to push back in here, though. Gravitic Flux is going to be available for them, and Molly's Trance. I mean, it got nothing done last time.
Bob going to be sent into the backline. Creative! Oh, no, 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 no! He got booped! Bob got booped into the line of sight! And now he's set up the kills onto the enemy team! I don't believe what that was!
Wait, oh, what? Lord almighty.
And now Seoul, they've lost the team fight. They've lost too many players. Only a couple remaining. It's all up to Prophet, but he will go down. And the overtime burns, and it will be round number 1 going to Chengdu. I cannot believe that I just saw Bob got pushed into the line of sight of Creative. Poor Creative.
Yeah.
Chunked down immediately.
He was just sat at the back there. I mean, Illicit as well just tanked a bunch of shots from the Bob. And already we're seeing that Chengdu's composition, this isn't some kind of meme. This wasn't New York crumbling and playing horribly last week, Chengdu can occasionally just stumble into compositions that work really, and I say stumble, that's actually quite a dismissive way of saying it, because their coaching staff, I think, works pretty hard on being able to find these niche compositions that work specifically well for Chengdu, but not for other teams in the league. They take advantage of their own personal strengths to be able to find wins against better teams. And Chengdu have had a horrible run of things recently. They're 5-14 overall, but this comp, this meta, it's working out well for them. They're already putting the pressure on Seoul.
If they can get some early wins, it's going to be beautiful for them, because that 5-14 can be turned around. Maybe a good showing in the countdown cup. A couple of wins on the board. You never know.
True.
Chengdu's luck could turn around. Meanwhile, though, Eamon is getting chased down. Pretty dangerous. He's got that Discord orb on him as well, so he's going to be taking a lot of damage. But the fight goes in, the dive goes in. Seoul and Profit will bring down Leave. Wonderfully done. Gesture just about escapes with his life as he's going to be leaping back to the safety of his team. But Eamon rolling through, removes Toby, but that's okay, because Seoul Dynasty have put in enough damage, enough work to win out this team fight. Pretty overwhelming.
Nasty.
Some nice techers there from Gesture.
Yeah, it's a joy, honestly, to see Gesture and Prophet on the Winston and the Tracer. They are arguably the greatest duo of all time in Overwatch, when you consider their history just before the Overwatch League, as well as what they were able to achieve in like Season 1 as well. They're amazing. They haven't been at their peak for a while, but exactly, the Tracer Winston was kind of the OG duo for them.
Ooh, that's a great punish on Eamon. He tried to get in position, he tried to roll into creative to try and take him out, but the Discord orb, the stun, everything was on him immediately. And as soon as you lose Eamon, this comp kind of falls to pieces. It's up to a lot of other players to come up big. It's going to be an easy team fight win once more for Seoul.
So many ultimates available here as well for Seoul Dynasty, and they're already at 50%. This is a dangerous position already to be in for Chengdu. They're going to need something amazing here. They're going to need some kind of wasted ults from Seoul, or a team fight win where Seoul just collapse. If the rest of the round just plays out as default, then they're behind in the ult economy. They're probably going to lose.
Yep, and Molly's got down. That is not good, but I mean, it's good if you're a Seoul fan. Alyssa wants to commit the blade to it. But you know what? Might not even be necessary. Still, Profit goes down.
I mean, that's a little gift. A little wasted Dragon Blade there is just a gift for the Chengdu Hunters. It gives them a bit of an edge back into this. If they can get Jinmu's Blade and then a Grav, or the best case scenario, if they can save the Grav, but still find value. Gesture is so weak! He gets taken down!
Okay, Seoul have given him an in here. And oh, the Blade's going to get committed as well. Someone in the backline. Jinmu's going to try and get something done. He forced that to Transcendence. Okay, not bad. Late and close to the Gravitic, or the Graviton Surge, I should say. Been seeing so much Sigma recently, almost called it the wrong ultimate, but that's alright. Apparently still have a job. 1-to-1 trade going on in the back line as Chengdu are going to flip the point over into their favor, but Seoul want to be coming straight back into this. Gesture committing the Primal Rage to survive in the Gravitic Surge, Graviton Surge, and they're still turning this absolute chaos on the point because Chengdu Hunters are fighting so many things. Michelle returning a lot of fire. Jinmu trying to clutch it up in the backline, but Illicit answers with one of his own. The fight that's all over the place right now. Bob getting committed as well into the point just to try and pump in some damage. Chengdu want to hold on to us, and it looks like they will. Seoul cannot stay on that point any longer, but they might be able to regroup and repush quickly.
Well, it couldn't have gone any better for the Chengdu Hunters. A wasted Blade, a late Transcendence, and Michelle and Gesture fall really early on, and they still almost lost control of the point. So you can see how close the Chengdu Hunters were to losing this round. But that pick on the creative is absolutely wonderful. Leaf was such a huge component in that win over New York last week. He needs to be popping heads for them to win this round.
Absolutely popping off. Huge plays from him. Michelle's in trouble as well. You get pile drove onto. But as soon as you lose your Zenyatta play, nice by Jin. Okay.
That's so clean.
Melee, yeah.
Jinmu was a beast in the previous team fight too. He picked up kill after kill and could never be shut down. He's got another blade.
Right? Like this meta, I remember initially we were saying, you know, why wasn't Jinmu playing a Genji? It's so good to see him actually on this role, something that he was forcing when Genji wasn't meta. So now it is finally a lot stronger. He can really shine and show off those mechanics.
All comes down to this final fight.
Yeah, such an aggressive player, but the mines from Eamon. Going to be blocking the entrance. He's going to see if he can dash roll into anybody. Jester's in trouble a little bit here, but Prophet's got his back.
Look at that tech.
That tech! Again, finds the pile drive just through absolutely nothing. Dodges the post bomb. This little 1v1 that's occurring. Meanwhile, Jinmu is tearing them up. Armor packs have to be committed onto creative just to make him survive. The Transcendence is now committed. Jinmu needs to stay alive. If he stays alive here, he's going to have a 3 blades.
Both blades, though.
Luck's going to be used. Both blades committed here. Jinmu searching for the kills. He's found one. Can he get any more? Hunting for something here. Late Young beaming down the opposition. Only a couple of players remaining. It's all up to Illicit, and he's not going to be able to do it. The Chengdu Hunters walking away with victory there. And I tell you, at times it was messy. I won't lie to you, Josh, but I am so pleased that Chengdu are finding success now. Going back to their roots a little bit here with the Yemen on the wrecking ball, finding success against it. And Seoul Dynasty, you know, as much as we've been lording over Prophet and Gesture as a duo here as well, it's hard to watch this game and say that they had the right answers to what Chengdu were chucking at them.
Well, the dive was good, but the pressure in the backlines just ended up with them crumbling, and they made a lot of ultimate mistakes on that second round. That round really should have been theirs. We should have been going to a round 3, but instead, Seoul Dynasty looking a little sloppy, and they just give Chengdu an in. But that's one of the reasons, Brent, why I actually predicted the Chengdu Hunters for this match. I'm wearing the Chengdu shirt at the moment. The CDH.
Shirt,
exactly. But I think that Chengdu actually impressed me with their showing against New York last week, and I think they can bring it to the Seoul Dynasty. We've already seen that it takes not just the right answer, but pretty clinical play to be able to beat Chengdu right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited as well to see what Chengdu are going to be delivering for the rest of the series and in the future as well. For, of course, you know, the tournament that's upcoming. It's going to be super important for them to pick up a lot of wins just on the basis of their overall playoffs here. But we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have map 2 coming right up. Do not go anywhere, folks.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zipchair GAMING, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League, and you're joining us in the middle of the series right now between the Seoul Dynasty and the Chengdu Hunters. Chengdu just doing Chengdu things, you know, going in there. Jinmu just slanging around his skill. You know, he's got the shurikens firing off on all cylinders. He's doing in work right now, and Seoul have yet to come up with an answer. But the real kicker for me, Josh, and I think for you as well, I don't mean to put words into your mouth. I'm going to do it anyway. Lee.
Okay.
I think this guy has been really popping off and really quite pivotal, especially that second round that we just witnessed.
Yeah, definitely. I think that he was a huge part as to why Chengdu were able to beat New York last week. He was always there to be able to shut down Nene on the Sombra, and he can continue having a lot of impact from the backlines of the Chengdu Hunters. He's also really important for being able to stop these dive attempts as well with his coach gun, because he plays more around the backline. And it's a pretty diveable backline, honestly. It's a Zen and a Mercy. They don't have the Brig there to be able to whip shot people away, so they're kind of relying on a little bit of peel coming out from Leave as well in terms of the damage that he can do and the coach gun that he's got available.
Yeah, and we are going to be heading into the next map shortly. Eichenwalde, I think, is the way it's pronounced. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not German. You wouldn't know it, but I mean, it's interesting to see the evolution of Chengdu still. I mean, you look at the records of both these teams as well. How many times have we said it? But Seoul Dynasty are currently equal. They're 8-8 as it stands, I believe, and Chengdu Hunters currently sitting at 5-14.
It's been
desperately needing some wins.
It's been really rough for Chengdu because I think they tried to play more meta stuff, and they're in a really tough region. APAC is hyper competitive. It doesn't really have any bad teams in it. There's a couple of bad teams over in North America that have been sucking for the majority of the season. The closest you get in APAC is the Chengdu Hunters, and they can take matches off these top teams. They've taken matches off the Shanghai Dragons and, you know, New York last week, that kind of stuff. Yeah, they are like the quintessential upset team, but only when they play that style that favors their way of playing. They can't just play the meta and beat you. But when you really think about what Chengdu are doing right now, their way of playing isn't that different to the meta. Leave's a really strong hit scan player and he's playing on the Ashe. Jinmu's a really strong Genji player and he's playing the Genji. And outside of Eamon playing Ball instead of Winston, their comp looks really similar to the kind of stuff that we would see coming out from, for example, the Florida Mayhem.
Yes.
So teams that are playing... teams that are just playing the Winston, Zarya, Genji, Ashe kind of stuff. So it's really not that, it's not that wacky. People like to use the word wacky or wild talking about Chengdu, but this is pretty default as far as this meta goes. It's not exactly the same as all the other teams. It plays a bit more to their style, but it's a pretty good look.
Yeah, we've been seeing, what I was going to mention is a lot of the Wrecking Ball, actually. Some Wrecking Ball, I don't want to say a lot, actually. It's maybe a bit disingenuous, but...
We've seen, I think, 7% Wrecking Ball, which is pretty low.
From the North American teams, though, in particular, as well. I think some of them have been pulling it out against some of the Ashe comps, maybe some of the teams that can't effectively peel. Because when you play the Wrecking Ball, you're inherently saying, okay, we want to play quite aggressively. We're going to be creating a lot of space with the Wrecking Ball. If you have no way to shut us down or trying to basically absorb some of this aggression, you're probably going to have a rough time.
There also isn't another Wrecking Ball in the league that's as good as Eamon, at least from what we've seen so far as well. There were a couple of teams that tried to pick up Ball specialists this year, but none of them really succeeded in the same way that Eamon has.
Oh, there he is, having a whale of a time. That's the best Wrecking Ball in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Swinging away on the high ground. Anyway, Chengdu okay, Chengdu are happily going to be just learning what Seoul are going to be checking at them. Seoul going to be hunting for an opportunity here to dive. Notice his pincer attack here. Prophet moving onto the flank as the rest of his team tries to tackle them in the front line. Seoul going to be taking a lot of room.
Seoul have taken so much position here. It's so good. Prophet is finding it difficult to get in, though. Everyone's so weak from Chengdu, though. They are going to fall. Illicit's going to be able to mop up all of these bodies. I love that territory control from the Seoul Dynasty. It's something that the Winston and the Sigma do so much better than the Ball and the Zarya. Just controlling space. And as long as Prophet and Illicit can get into position as well, which they managed to there, that's how you execute the dives against Chengdu. You got to force your way in.
Yeah, that was beautiful. As you said, Josh. I mean, just pushing in, taking the space they needed, they wanted. Over the pincer attack. I don't know, what that really reads in the art of war, but meanwhile, Jinmu going in with the blade. Transcendence a little bit late. Michelle goes down. Not ideal. I mean, that's an ideal blade in my opinion. Get a kill, you force out the Transcendence. It's not bad, but Illicit is making it even. Prophet as well, as he removes Molly from the fight. No more Discord Orb. And Chengdu seems to just be crumbling here. They had a pretty okay start to that team fight, but opportunities were found off on the flanks and on the sidelines.
Yeah, Leave went down pretty early on afterwards to Illicit. And I think a large problem here is that Chengdu's DPS just aren't able to stop Prophet and Illicit taking positions. They need to try and duel them. But Prophet and Illicit are just forcing their way in. If you can't take the duel, if you're Jinmu and you're scared or you don't want to try and put damage on the enemy players and force them back, you're just going to give up map control every time.
It's problematic right now for Chengdu. No. Leighton's gone down. Illicit just keeping Jinmu in check here with the 1v1 despite the heals coming through. Eamon dropping these mines, but see.
Big whiff from Michelle. Big whiff.
No value whatsoever here. Illicit going for the blades, does not find any value. Again, trying to hunt down this kill, please! Even eventually will fall. The dash reset and just got to clear these mines out. Eventually they will be able to take this one. You can see the whip shot, big connected Prophet pumping in damage into Eamon.
And Yveltal has been forced here, Bren, onto the Brigitte because this backline is just getting dived way too much and immediately gets the kill on Prophet, actually. And they're not going to be able to defend point B, but immediately you can see that backline swap paying off. Going more towards the Zen Brig, which is more similar to what you'll see most teams playing. The Mercy is more used for, like, point A holds, but Yveltal has preferred playing it a lot to be able to get reses and get the damage boost on Jinmu and leave.
Michelle's going to be making the switch over to the Zarya as we move into the close quarters. It's easy to get value with your bubbles. You unload them onto somebody, build up the charge pretty quickly. But Chengdu Hunters is their fight to win. Look at the ults they got online here. Grab it on Surge, Blade. Now they're going to be committing it. Surge comes out. Do they have anything else? Jinmu does not want to be using this Blade. He saves it. Didn't think it was the right time. Missed opportunity maybe, but Prophet goes down to the burn from the dynamite damage, and that is going to set them up to go in even more aggressively. What a pile drive into the collapse. Jinmu, so much damage just unleashed onto Seoul Dynasty here. Great team fight win for them, and they only committed the grab, and I believe Bob as well.
Pretty great coordination there at the end of the fight, though, from the Chengdu Hunters. You can tell that they are practiced and well synergized. Oh my goodness, Creative could definitely have died there. I think Eamon could have gone in, but he probably would have given his life for it. So he decides not to.
He probably thought.
Exactly, yeah. Michelle, weak and Creative, has actually had his Transcendence forced by the minefield. That's large value from Eamon. Just a hit and run.
Yeah, and that Transcendence was the only answer realistically to this Blade that Jinmu's been holding on to. Yes, they've got the rally, but Jinmu's fast enough. He's going to be able to get value out of it, but here he goes in with the Blade. Prophet goes down. Slashing and dashing through the opposition. He wants to go even further. Why not? His team's backing him up. Another team fight win here for Chengdu. Taking down the time bank to 3 minutes. Not a terrible scenario for Seoul to work with. I think that, 3 minutes a lot of time to work with if they can manage to get through, but look at this forward hold from Chengdu. I've never really seen a team plant up just a defense outside here.
But it's so good, honestly, with Chengdu's composition, because you're putting pressure on the backline as they try and get into position. The counter to a dive team like Seoul Dynasty is to put a lot of poke on them as they approach. And that's exactly what Chengdu are doing. What is that grab, though? What? That's a bit of a weird one, but it doesn't matter. It gets value.
Okay. I believe Toby just walked into that one, but that's okay. Sometimes mistakes are made.
Pulse bomb a little bit too late from Prophet. Doesn't find anything.
I gotta say, that's the most egregious mistake of all. Michelle just unleashing the grab and not getting any value to try and turn that fight. But Eamon, why not? I mean, one life for another. Just trades his away. And suddenly, I think this aggressive forward hold is probably gonna have to be put on pause. It's gonna be free entry for Seoul to finally try and push through this choke point. But that's another minute off the clock here.
And it's bought a lot of time for Chengdu to be able to get their ultimates up. Jinmu back to another Blade. And a Bob available.
Yep.
They can still fight in this choke. Eamon's already back with a minefield.
Mines, yep. Seoul cannot walk through them. obviously.
Leaf looks like he's anticipating taking the fight around the corner, actually, with his position on top of the candelabra. But he's actually pushed up to the choke point now.
You're very well read, aren't you?
Well, I actually forgot the word for the chandelier, so I just called it a candelabra instead. I don't think it is one. Just picked a close synonym, honestly, Bren.
Illicit takes out Leave, and that's pretty crucial because there's going to be no bomb. Illicit, he's got an opportunity to clutch this for his team now. The Blade brings down Late Young, and Creative again uses the Transcendence to lead it in. An aggressive Transcendence to lead it and assist this Blade. But Chengdu, they play discipline. They back up immediately, but they've got to commit now. They have to get onto this car. Can anyone touch this, please? I think Jinmu had to dash onto the cart, but they've lost so many players. Now to grab it on Surge again is only going to be connecting onto Eamon. He's the last man standing. Bob got whipped somewhere. Leaf got no value out of it. The Seoul Dynasty, they just walk it in.
Yeah, that's a confusing end there for Chengdu. It's the same kind of stuff as I was worried about on map 1. They held Jinmu's Blade for so long. They were really good at being able to take aggressive holds at the choke. But then as soon as they didn't take an aggressive hold, they just gave up way too much space for the Seoul Dynasty. But this all comes down to how these compositions work, is that if you give space to Seoul, if you don't fight them every step of the way, then they're gonna get in position and they're gonna dive you and they're gonna win. That's how Genji Tracer Dive works. If you give them the space to be able to execute those dives, they will be able to beat you. And with practiced players like Gesture and Prophet, you can't give them an inch. That's why I love that forward hold from Chengdu.
Passing this match, man, unlike that SpongeBob, you know, when he's leaning against the wall, he's out of breath.
Yeah, I mean, it's fast-paced, right? It's a wonderful breath of fresh air after watching Chengdu play against New York, and New York were just slug-like in terms of their tempo. They were very, very slow and about as effective as a mollusk as well. It was a pretty unfortunate reverse sweep, but it seems like Seoul have come in determined to up the tempo.
Shout out to nice flex. Yep, I'd like to see that.
Nearly as swole as Bren.
Possibly, Josh. Getting close. We're getting close to it. The quarantine gains when you're locked into one singular area. My home gym that I built in the garage. Getting close, maybe. But I'd like to give a special shout out as well to Hexagrams for reminding me what ultimate belongs to what character between Zarya and Sigma. Both use gravity, so it's a little bit confusing. My brain's getting slow in the age of 24. But Eamon almost falling immediately. He's down to 140 health. He got his shields up though.
The tech of this guy as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, right? Beautiful stuff. But Seoul are playing so aggressively, just trying to punish anything from Chengdu as they're trying to walk through this choke point. Gesture is the one to pay with his life though. The dynamite damage, far too much for him to survive through. Late Young with the right clicks are on point. This is so much damage. Jinmu in the backline just makes Michelle into mincemeat. And that is going to be Chengdu Hunters cracking this one open in about as rapid a fashion as Seoul did on their time around.
A really good execution, but the opposite kind of thing. They just trapped Gesture with the CC from the pile drive. Eamon's an absolute beast at being able to do that. He'll find people when they're just about to use their cooldowns, pile drive them so that they're just stuck in the air, and get the rest of his team to finish them off.
Yeah.
Seoul, though, their comp is going to be aggressive, so even if they lose all of these fights, they're still going to be ticking time off the clock now that we're in the payload portion. Gesture, though, needs to make sure that he isn't caught out.
I'll drop again. Gesture, I think, avoided that with his shield. Sent up into the air, but he will fall. Sounds like Discord Orb again, just burning him down, and now you've lost your Winston. It's a pretty sticky scenario, but Prophet's going to be trying to turn it around anyway. Resurrect comes out, but look at that.
That's
beautiful
great.
Dive. Molly goes down, and now Prophet's going for more. Can anyone keep this guy in check? Blade from Jinmu as he wants to shut this down once and for all. They want to try and get through this choke point, but they're being torn to pieces from every single angle. And now it's bought enough time for Gesture to get back into the fight. Falls very, very low. Will have to dive to this team here. Jinmu just trying to play a bit of mind games with the deflects going on as well. And Prophet again destroys Molly, just tears into him. And again, taking out the Zenyatta from these fights is so key into stopping a lot of these pushes.
Incredibly good clutch play by Prophet there in that team fight after Gesture died again. I want to point out, though, how difficult it is for Gesture here, because he needs to be taking these forward positions and trying to look for dives. But if Chengdu give him no openings, then all he's doing is just standing there, just waiting for an opening. He can't really manufacture one himself. He has to wait for the rest of his team. And so he is going to be the player that looks like he's just getting caught out all the time.
They dive on Jinmu, though. They take him out.
Great.
Using a couple of ults
play.
as well here. You can see Rabbinic Flux was used by Michelle. No avail, but it has set them up for victory. As you can see, a lot of players.
Prophet's on a tear.
Prophet is destroying right now. I mean, this is one of his signature roles, something that we haven't really seen that much, is the Tracer. It's always beautiful to see.
He's forced a Veltal over to the Brigitte again as they just try and get in through this choke point. They're finding it difficult for Leaf to do anything in these team fights. Really, Leaf needs to hit some nice shots on Prophet or Illicit to push them back when the dive comes in, but he's on the low ground and it's so hard for him to do anything.
Okay, well, Bob was about to go into the cart there, but got booped back twice. Still, Gesture will fall. We'll see. Previously, Gesture has gone down and it's created space for Prophet to pop off. See the grab is used, and that's going to force out the Transcendence at least. Still, until he goes down, as Illicit will fall. Jinmu just has to try and wall climb his way out of there. Fight could still be winnable now for Chengdu. They're playing this quite slowly. Eamon just gets his shields off. Oh, he's so low! Oh my goodness, Eamon, he power drives to safety, but his team is being torn to pieces. Bit by bit here, Gesture. Will he get out alive? Up for debate. Still, he will survive, but Eamon's still causing havoc. Such high pace that this game is being played at right now. It's hard to even try and keep track of it, but feels like Chengdu are the ones who will be coming out on top here. There's only
Eamon
a
doing a
couple
great
of stragglers remaining here.
My God.
Cleans them up.
It's just so impressive to watch Eamon roam around the map.
I can't believe he survived, honestly.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, he pops like a 300 health shield and just zips away, pile drives back onto the map, and then punishes, or helps punish Gesture and Michelle in the middle of that fight. Dynasty have a lot of ults to be able to work with here, though. Big Rabbinic Flux.
Huge Flux, and now they do have ults to work with. They're going to be diving into the sidelines here. Alyssa with the blade finds one. Transcendence going to be committed, but far too late. Chengdu Hunters not going to be saving anybody with that one. The bomb come in as well. You can see it, ladies and gentlemen.
That is really
Soul
rough.
fan, in which case you're probably cheering right now.
That is really rough for Chengdu, though. If Molly had popped that trance a little earlier, when he realized that Illicit was going for the blade,
Could have been saved.
it could have been a totally different team fight. Jinmu could have been saved. Eamon and Leighton. Hello.
What?
Wowee. Eamon and Jinmu just knew that Prophet was there and laid a little ambush for him.
Mate, Prophet, I mean, surely he had cooldowns. He was just waiting up there, but now Eamon rolling into the backline. Just the sheer presence of him, and see you later, Jinmu. Oh my goodness.
Blasting off.
It's like the Chengdu space program. He's just out here just trying to explore, trying to beat Elon to the race, huh? Okay, why not? Let Seoul win the fight. My goodness. I found out Elon Musk is trying to set up like a global internet relay line in space recently. I don't know how I only just found this out, but like a bunch of high-speed satellites, low-latency satellites for global internet. What are you doing, Prophet? Okay. Wow, if he got a kill then, I was about to freak out a little bit more than I actually did.
Yeah, Late Young just with a clutch bubble, I think. Another dive comes in. Great flashbang, but Leaf's going to get torn to pieces here.
Chunk dead immediately, yeah. I like that I tried to go on a tangent, but the game is just too fast-paced to even acknowledge it.
Well, neither of the
that,
teams,
or
neither of the teams want to give an inch at any point. They have to fight aggressively in choke points all over the place. There's no chance that Chengdu touch here. I mean, Eamon would have to zip through like a racing car.
There he goes.
Oh
okay.
no!
Yo, whoa! He's found it. He's on the card. Oh,
I feel like someone
The
should have been
mines?
able to stop it.
Okay. The mine's going to be unleashed. He's just going to be rolling this one forward. Surely his team can take advantage of this one. Gesture, though, he has his primal rage. Lei Ying's trying to make the most of it, though. He's going to be trying to bring him down. The right clicks are pretty good, but not good enough. Eamon trying to save it here. Jinmu dashing into the side room. Being harassed. The overtime is burning here. The rally is going. Seoul Dynasty. They stopped them just before the gates. They will not breach them. They're going to be evening it up. It's going to be 1-1. This series is a little bit mental.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, though. It's a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah.
It's two teams playing hyper aggro kind of styles. It's individual plays all over the place. the Chengdu space program is in full effect.
I love that. I mean, I don't know. I just want to refer back to the fact that I tried to go on a tangent because I thought there'd be a moment of, I guess, patience, calm, tranquility, whatever you want to call it. And it was just non-stop aggression the entire time. There's no room for tangents. I mean, all right, I'll take it. Listen, high-paced Overwatch. I'm all here for it every day of the week. But it doesn't end there. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, I believe, we've got our game break. And we're going to be discussing this game a little bit further. So don't go anywhere, guys.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the game break presented by CHEEZIT Grooves, and we're going to be here doing our best to break down this match just far. I mean, one side rooting for Seoul, the other side rooting for, you're going to be on this side, I think, Chengdu. I'm pointing towards you right now.
I showed off my shirt, which is available now on the Overwatch League shop, I think.
There you go.
I mean, I didn't have to buy it. You know, I was given it in order to show it off. But
yeah, I've got another one here as well. I got New York. I don't know who's supposed to be wearing this one, but
nice.
Presumably someone casting New York. Probably Seth, maybe. He should
Pretty
probably
stylish.
iron it. Actually, he's casting the next match, so maybe I should give it to him to get unwrinkled. Anyway, regardless, we're here to break down the match of Chengdu versus Seoul. And so far, back and forth between these two teams. Seoul coming up with the answers and the goods on Eichenwald.
Yes, pretty close. And I kind of like that Seoul have clearly looked at the Chengdu New York game and gone, all right, Sombra just doesn't really work against this kind of composition that that Chengdu are running. Because although it's a good counter to the Wrecking Ball, theoretically, it just doesn't work when the team comp is that fast-paced. Because if you're playing the Sombra, you want to slow the game down. You're trying to look for hacks before you engage. And if Eamon and Jinmu are in your face before you've got an opportunity to find the hack, or if Leave is shooting you in the head, as happened repeatedly during that Chengdu New York series, then you're not going to get anything done. So I quite like the idea of running the Genji Tracer Dive instead of just going all-out aggression into the backlines, trying to spawn camp them at times, as they did on Eichenwald. It seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah, really getting their feathers in a twist. You know, I think that's a saying.
Sure, probably.
Josh, you know, we're going over to one of my favorite segments of all time, the GOAT segment, some might say. It's the crunch time presented by CHEEZIT Grooves. Do you have anything for me?
I certainly do, Brennan. I've got a wonderful little stat for you for our crunch time presented by CHEEZIT Grooves. Even though the Chengdu Hunters are 5-14 and they have just been frankly sucking for a number of weeks, it is interesting to note that they are positive on every one of our maps. Our first 4 maps in this series, they have a positive win rate on all of them. They're 5-2 on Lijiang. They were 2-1 on Eichenwald, which, fair enough,
Okay.
The Seoul Dynasty are 1-1-1. They are 3-1 on Volskaya and 3-2 on Gibraltar. So even though they have a negative win rate on basically every map type, these specific maps that we're playing tonight have tended to be pretty decent for Chengdu. Now I don't know whether that's, you know, because of the opponents they've been playing or something, but it's interesting to note.
That is interesting. That is also the most Chengdu stat I've ever heard, I think. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
If this goes to the 5th map, Busan, they're 0-6.
Okay, well, there you go, Chengdu fans. There's your win condition. Close it up before it gets to map 5.
Yeah.
So,
which means that they need to win the next 2.
Map?
No, that was the 5th. The 5th map is
okay.
Busan.
I was going to say, like, 6 maps? Oh, okay.
They need to win the next 2, Volskaya and Watchpoint Gibraltar. And I think it's pretty doable, honestly. I mean, clearly, Gibraltar is more of a dive map, that kind of thing, but Chengdu have got like a style that is disruptive, and if you aren't playing at your best, if you slip up, then it's easy to lose a map to Chengdu.
Okay, well, I'm going to send it to a break right now, Josh. Not because I'm tired of talking about this match, because I want to see it conclude. I want to see it end, and the people at home do as well. So don't go anywhere. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to see who will win between Seoul and Chengdu.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by CHEEZIT Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
The Chengdu Hunters and the Seoul Dynasty is a tale as old as time, and I've introed this like it is a story, but a story that maybe, I don't know, would you want to show your grandchildren this one, Josh? It's pretty brutal at times, back and forth aggression, you know, there's blades coming out, you know, mines being strewn across the battlefield. It's a little bit hectic.
I don't have any grandchildren, Brent, so I don't know, you'll have to get back to me in
100
years.
Yeah, okay. All right.
80 years? Whoa, my maths is way off.
I think you might be onto something as well, though, because, listen, people are living longer these days, you know. Modern medicine is pretty astounding. So we are, I was listening to this podcast of this anti-aging professor. I won't get into it because, again, the game is starting and you guys want to hear about that. But listen, this guy is pretty optimistic we're going to be living until like 150, so.
Right, but I mean, I'd be... I'm not going to get into it, but I mean, that's... I would have to be fairly old to be having kids, and my kid would have to be fairly old to be having kids.
You might be a great-grandfather.
True,
You can tell the story of Chengdu versus Seoul to your great-grandchildren. This match is shaping up to be the match that you would talk about, and you'd pull it up on your holographic screen, and your children would say, oh, God, this again. And you'd be like, yes, let me tell you about the time I commentated Seoul versus Chengdu.
You know what? You never know how life's going to go. So perhaps this could end up being one of the greatest series of all time in the Overwatch League. It's already set out to be a really entertaining one, though. It doesn't quite have the stakes to be one of the all-time greats just yet, but it's certainly been entertaining so far. Very fast-paced. Seoul Dynasty running a really aggressive dive versus Chengdu Hunters running their Genji Ashe, but with a Wrecking Ball kind of composition. It's been interesting. I love the Mercy and the Ashe on this map on defense, by the way. I think it works a treat.
Equally aggressive attempts at the dive from both of these teams. Seoul, a little bit more, not really divey, I suppose. They've been taking a lot of space quite aggressively, as we saw on Icon Hall, but here we go. Rolling out Seoul Dynasty. Going to be up to 4. Again, pretty similar composition. Ivadil starting on the Mercy once again, and Ivadil has been forced over to the Brigitte many times so far this series. We'll see how much longer they can hold on the Mercy themselves. Nice Shuriken from Alyssa just to start things off. You can see immediately Chengdu wanted to be going in the aggression.
Gesture and Illicit punished. Really nice. I mean, you were saying that Seoul Dynasty, you hesitated to call them the more divey team, but they definitely are. Like, that is the more aggressive team. Chengdu are playing defense a lot of the time, even when they're on attack. They're having to try and take positions and then defend as Seoul Dynasty constantly try and dive them. So the punish onto Gesture is absolutely crucial. He only gets 18% there, Illicit only on 30% as well. This is a good start for the Chengdu Hunters. Eamon's going to continue to disrupt, and then it's on Jinmu and Leaf to try and punish these guys as they take space.
You really got to be careful as a Tracer player going up against a Genji these days, because you only have to be within about a meter. Those right clicks will take your head off. Prophet going to be searching for a kill. He's got the pulse bomb in hand. See if he's able to find any value with it. Pumping in the damage for now. Okay, he's got the recall. He's safe. He's sound. But still being hunted down by Jinmu, and Jinmu's close to this blade. I mean, he is just hounding Prophet, not letting him get anywhere near them. Meanwhile, the front line being caved in a little bit here. As you can see, Seoul slowly getting more and more positioning, but Jinmu wants to be going in with the blade, sending it in. One slash goes through, finds 2 kills, make it 3. Beautiful work there from Jinmu. You crazy guy. I was going to say something naughty.
Prophet's hiding here. I don't think he's going to be able to get anything done, so instead I'll talk about what I loved about Hello. I don't think Eamon saw him. Wait, he must have done.
I know he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He was too fast, Josh. The human eye can't see above 30 FPS. Something about that, I don't know.
Okay, Seoul Dynasty are getting close to their own blade this time, so good opportunity for the Seoul Dynasty to go aggressive. The Bob, that's going to be a great defensive tool. Booped actually into Gesture.
Yeah, booped and rocked in the end. Sent flying backwards. Will go down.
Rock'em, sock'em, robots.
Yeah. 1 minute 30, that's what Seoul are going to work with, and they're going to start committing the ultimate! Eamon with 2 kills from the mine!
Grav and Minefield.
Seoul were going for something, but yep, the Grav Mines, that is a classic combo. It's one that you love to see because it is just deadly, so deadly, and Eamon finds it on Prophet as well. Wow, only a minute remaining, and they get the res onto Molly. That is just everything you were hoping for Chengdu.
The only problem with Chengdu is that they use their Transcendence in the middle of that fight, so it is a free, completely free blade from Illicit here. But they need to be able to get in and get in position in the first place. And that's where Jinmu and Leave have been pretty deadly. Gesture absolutely getting rocked down to really low HP. The Discord orb from Molly is perfectly placed. But Late Young, I think he's going to get pushed off the high ground, and Eamon is dead. This should set up for a big blade from Illicit. He's got to come up clutch here.
Trouble is, he needs to get positioning, and his team needs to give it to him. They get the res onto Eamon, but Evil trades his life for it. Illicit has the blade. Now could be a good time, and he finally lets it go. Where are the targets he's hunting for? There's one of them. Molly goes down. He finds Late Young as well, and bashed into the corner. Will not matter. The damage is done. Seoul Dynasty will be victorious. Eamon does not want to be throwing hands at them on this first point. He's going to be backing off the rest of his team. So well played by Seoul, recognizing their win conditions.
It's somewhat of a optimistic, ambitious resurrect coming out from Molly here. Let's take a look at this replay as well. This is the Grav Minefield. Grav fan creative.
A naughty combo.
Honestly, no idea why Molly used a trance in the middle of this play though.
Because of the Gravitic Flux, I think.
But the Grav came out from Late Young, so like, why? Oh, the Gravitic Flux,
they got
sorry.
caught, yeah, from the Gravitic Flux earlier. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see,
it's okay,
I see.
John. Sometimes I do actually pass it. Every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jinmu's got nothing with this blade though. He's decided to go and use it. I mean, the worst thing was, I don't think he even forced many cooldowns out of it, but you can see now Michelle wants to go in. Gravitic Flux sends him up, sends him down. Oh no. Chengdu have to hold on. They need to get a pick or two. Eamon's going to be trying to build up these mines. That could be critical. Could be the only thing saving them right now. Power drive from on high. Mines unleashed onto the point, but he will go down. Grab up on the high ground. Illicit will fall. The mines are going to be stopping Seoul from really aggressing onto them here. But Evador falls regardless. Late Young on the high ground. Maybe channeling his inner Sinatra. He's got to go huge. Has to go big. Has to try and pump in the damage here. Eamon back in the fight. Already respawned. Causing so much distraction. He's already pushed his way right into the back line. Jinmu following up with the 2 kills as well. They have held on.
And Leave's Tracer went huge in the cleanup of this fight. And that's a really interesting look that we haven't seen so far from the Chengdu Hunters. But they, at any point here, could just decide to match the Seoul Dynasty with the Genji dive of their own, except with the ball and the Zarya, which has different win conditions, but it's still a pretty dangerous composition, especially when Leave can be so deadly on that Tracer in the right situations. He's good enough to be able to go toe-to-toe with Prophet and try and take those Tracer duels.
Leave is a good Tracer, man. He is truly, truly great.
He's one of our... Well, in the off-season, we thought he might be one of our Rookie of the Year candidates. He hasn't really lived up to our expectations, but the individual skill is absolutely there.
Look at that. What clip! Oh my goodness! The beat down of the Prophet! The blade comes through from Jinmu. It does its job. It forces out 2 support ultimates, both the rally and the transcendence at the same time. That's great value. And now Lee with the post bomb. Josh is like he's listening in.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, okay. You're claiming that I'm not a Rookie of the Year candidate. You're claiming I'm not stepping up. All right, I'll show you this." Just absolutely destroys the opposition. Illicit's trying to turn this with a blade of his own. I don't agree with this whatsoever.
What is that?
That's
just
very confusing.
Brent, that is what we call the anti-synergy as well. Just gesture primarily people away from the blade. And Eamon, in the meantime, best wrecking ball in the world.
Mate, he's pulling out the forbidden technique. Like, how did he survive that?
He's ridiculous.
And now the mines are ready. Final 10 seconds here for Seoul. And yeah, another grab is ready. Gravitic Flux from Michelle. Meanwhile, Prophet is really in trouble here in the backline. Eamon almost predicted his path of where he might go. The mine's going to be laid down on the point just to stop anyone from touching. Diving onto it. Gesture cannot walk any closer. Diving into the air now. The overtime is burning down. Someone's got to touch this. Someone's got to touch this. Please! Oh, please! Walk onto the point. Jinmu is going to go down here to elicit. Prophet's trying his hardest. I believe he's in the backline, just keeping it at least triggered so that somebody, maybe they can win this one, but no. No one from Seoul can keep it going. 54% is all they managed to accrue. That's a win condition. It is a win condition at the end of the day. I'll give them that, but not the most ideal scenario.
And at the end of the day, what really stopped the Seoul Dynasty there was Leave swapping over to the Tracer. Like, yeah, the backline ended up being a little more solid too. They swapped Molly off the Zenyatta over to the Brig towards the later end of that, so they had a Brig Mercy backline. It's pretty difficult to be able to dive that, honestly. But the key was Leave swapping over to the Tracer, allowing them to go so much more aggressive themselves, continuing to increase the pace.
Mate,
and look at that! Look at that blade. It's just wasted.
Yeah. Look at mate. Sorry, excuse me. How does he even get out of this position? And then look at this. If they show the rest of this clip, look at this. What's he doing? How does he do this? The actual forbidden technique, like his skill on Wrecking Ball transcends what we thought was possible with that hero.
Until I see him do a quadra move and insta-kill someone, you know, he ain't
at
no
that point,
ball.
at that point, we're investigating him. You know what?
Yeah, that's true.
That's too far. You know,
You got
that's
rubber
too far.
bands on your controllers at that point, you know.
You're doing perfect 360-degree analog Xbox 360 spins or something. I don't know how you do it. There's a way to do it, but it's impossible for humans. That's all I know.
All right, let's take a look at the Chengdu attack. I would be interested to see if they decide to run Leave on the Tracer. It worked pretty well against what Seoul were running. Seoul didn't really modify their playstyle at all to deal with the Genji Tracer on the other side. They kept just trying to dive the backline as if Leave was still on Ashe. All right, Eamon pops in to say hello.
Yep, just scouting a little bit, finally gets the dive in. The bubble comes in a little bit late. Gesture going to be diving in, just stopping them from pushing through the choke point. That's what this comes down to. It's like an arms race of aggression. You got to match the aggressive dive from Eamon with aggression of your own. Layun goes down. A good start for Seoul here. If you want to be just shaving off this time away from the clock, if you want to be trying to take this map away from Chengdu.
Leave is going to find it really difficult to get any angles here, because as soon as he tries to go forwards, that's going to be the trigger for Seoul Dynasty to snap the jaws of this ambush. And that certainly doesn't help Chengdu either. The res comes out, but Layun's already taken so much damage too. I don't think this is going to work with Leave on the Ashe. He's just not going to be able to get in through the choke. That pick onto Jinmu, though, is... Oh, okay. I mean, he just waited for Prophet to come into his crosshair there as well. Fair enough. It works out in the end. Picks onto both of the DPS players for the Seoul Dynasty is certainly going to help.
Holding the ankles. All he was doing was waiting for one of them to overextend. The coach gun gesture in the air. And he played duck. Wait, the ducks fly? I'm not sure, but...
Do ducks fly? Normally I let these kind of sentences pass, but that's egregious, Brent.
Bob comes out from Leave.
Quick, talk about Bob.
Contested the point a little bit, pushing him back. Solo in trouble. Jinmu, 3 kills for him, and instant capture now for Chengdu. They're going to have so much time to work with.
I know it's 1 AM, Brent, but that's...
Do ducks fly?
Yes, they do.
I've never seen a duck fly.
Yes, you have. You've seen a duck at a pond, and then they take off from the water.
I've only ever seen them in the water.
No, next time just shout at them. They'll fly. Goodness gracious. All right, okay. Chengdu with so many ultimates here available. Late Young's getting close to his grav. Eamon's just put the mines up there to deny people from the high ground, I think, and that's going to set up for a really nice blade from Jinmu if he wants to go for it. Most of his blades, he's decided to play a little more passive, but with Creative not having a grav right now, this is the perfect time for Jinmu to blade.
Oh, Jinmu! Jinmu! So many kills going his way. Creative shuts him down, but nobody touches the point. It was too late, Josh. The damage was done. Oh my goodness, Chengdu Hunters rolling in. And I mean, just to recap that one, I know we were staying on Jinmu's POV, but Gesture dove in to try and create some space, immediately got burnt down. Layun came in with the grab. They managed to catch out Toby, which Jinmu cleaned up. And again, then Jinmu just had free reign on the high ground. There was no shield bash to stop him. All the kills that he got, set it up completely. And just like that, Chengdu Hunters taking Volskaya Industries. Wow.
Pretty great. I mean, they kind of won it for themselves on defense, though, honestly, because they saved a situation and swapped Leave over to the Tracer and held at 54%. That's really nice. And then also did a great job of being able to find the picks onto players to open up point A in the first place. I was concerned that Leave wouldn't even be able to get in through that choke point, but he had a really nice shot on Profit after they'd already got the first pick and just opened things up. They're just really waiting for Seoul Dynasty to make mistakes, it feels like. Their team composition already forces Seoul to play aggressive, so just wait for an opportunity. Play patient. Keep the pressure on, but play patient.
Made you eat your words, didn't they? You little hard-boiled egg. Anyway, we're going to a break. When we come back, we're going to have the rest of the series coming straight up. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see the culmination, potentially. Maybe it will continue. Who knows? Anyway, don't go anywhere. More Overwatch coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
To the Overwatch League, and yes, as I said before, we're going to see this series play out to its fullest potentially, maybe, but all I do know is that this is definitely going to be a match that I tell to my grandchildren. It's of course Seoul versus Chengdu. It's currently 2-1, Chengdu leading, and it is looking spicy, picante, as Golden Boy would say, good friend of mine, and you as well, Josh. I won't leave you out.
Thanks, Brent. This is shaping up to be quite a series. It's really entertaining. The little adjustments from both of the teams, and this is just a hero pool that has suited both of these rosters actually pretty well. I mean, any time that Gesture and Profit get to play the Winston and the Tracer, I feel like the Seoul Dynasty are pretty comfortable. Yeah. They've subbed Badosin back in, by the way, for Watchpoint Gibraltar. That might be because some Ana gets played. I'm not 100% sure how the APAC meta is going to... Oh, Ana is, of course, hero pool. We can't even see it. So presumably he is just going to be playing the Zen exactly the same. Maybe they just value his shot calling, because he is supposed to be like the shot caller for the team, or at least one of.
Here's the thing, if you're running creative, presumably you would have had a different shot calling structure, and now you're putting Badosin back in. Isn't that just too many cooks? I don't know, am I overthinking it?
I think you're overthinking it. I mean, Gesture has been known to be a caller. He was the secondary caller for the London Spitfire as well, so I think he probably just stepped up a little bit more. I don't think in Overwatch that having like one shot caller is really how comms work anyway, but Badosin has in the past been a vocal team leader for the London Spitfire and the Seoul Dynasty. So yeah, maybe we'll see things change a little bit. Maybe they just the team and the coaches were watching from the sidelines and felt that they needed a little more guidance. Maybe Badosin's just a specialist for Gibraltar. We'll see.
Maybe he could be the secret weapon. Josh, I said this in the break, but I want to talk about it. I have no idea how I was going to fit this in organically, but I went for a walk today outside, and I saw coyotes.
Coyotes?
Yep, 2 coyotes. No fear of traffic. They were just walking around a very busy main road.
I suppose the traffic has been dying down recently, what with
but I
people
didn't
not
think
going outside
find
houses as much.
in the city.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. They're up in the
I'd
hills.
share that with you and everyone else.
Thank you. I mean, we are witnessing at the moment the ferocious tiger taking on the majestic panda with the Seoul Dynasty versus the Chengdu Hunters. I think both of those animals might mess up a coyote.
Is a panda majestic? I suppose it is. It's quite graceful
majestic.
in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're quite...
They're associated with royalty. They are, in a sense, the definition of majestic, you know?
It is a beautiful animal. I remember I used to play Zoo Tycoon as a child, and pandas were always the most difficult to take care of, and also they brought in the most money.
Right.
But anyway,
Shut
there
up
we
about
go.
Zoo Tycoon.
Yeah, I will, because the game is afoot, and Leave is already finding value out of this one. It's the Chengdu Hunters on the defense, off to a absolutely rocketing start. And no, I'm not talking about the Chengdu space program. Leave is having a field day, and I immediately thought when I looked at Chengdu's composition that Leave was going to have a good time if he's playing Ash on Gibraltar.
Yeah, Ash on Gibraltar defense, fantastic. This is where Chengdu's comp is at its best as well, because Late Young can take all these high ground positions, and the Seoul Dynasty have got to push him off. Look how much damage was just done as soon as Seoul tried to take the high ground.
Yeah, Jimmy, just do it. Yep, I like it. Force another recall. They might be able to punish Prophet here.
Oh, just zips out. But Leave is doing enormous work, both in terms of the shots that he can hit and these big clumped up dynamites as well. Obviously, there's no Diva on the other side because Michelle is trying to play the Sigma. I think a Diva would be better here, though, actually, for the Seoul Dynasty, because they want to up the pace and the tempo even further. Whereas the Sigma is more of a slow-paced hero. It's more about control and being able to push forwards. Then again, the Diva might just get eaten alive by Late Young Zarya.
Well, Bob is available here. All the backline really under trouble here as Prophet's just doesn't have a recall, but he was doing a number. Had to force the peel back from Molly so Molly could stay alive. Gesture is gaining space slowly. Going to be diving in, seeing if he can gain control for the rest of his team. Eamon with the mines, okay. Yep, laid those down early enough, and Prophet will go down. Still, Seoul continuing to fight this one, even though they probably shouldn't. That's a nice reflect, though. Could be converted into a kill, potentially, but the longer this fight draws out, with the more players they're losing, the worse it's going to be looking for Seoul.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Seoul
30.
Dynasty committed to that so long. Maybe they were trying to force out some ultimates there, but instead...
No, go back to Prophet. Prophet kills him, Molly!
Whoa, Prophet just... Nobody was paying attention. That only forces out the Resurrect, but could still be crucial in this fight, to be honest. The lack of a Resurrect, if they manage to get a good dive up top, I mean, that has already been a problem for the Seoul Dynasty, though. None of these dive attempts have worked.
Yeah.
They've lost first blood in all of the fights on Gibraltar so far. Oh, the double boop attempt.
He's got the shield
Oh, he actually got it.
I thought Toby had shield bash to get back on the edge.
How did he not?
Surely he would have it in that scenario. Why would he have used it beforehand? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's a... wow. Ooh. But a lot of ultimates here, and an overextension from Chengdu. One mistake for another, I suppose. Leiyun going down. That's no Ramadan surge. Jimmy was ready and waiting with the blade, though, and it is getting into final fight territory. Pile driver into the mines here. Rally comes out early. They need to try and get Bedosen's Transcendence out for Jinmu to get some value with this blade. Goes for the dash. Melee!
Oh.
Straight into the mines! Oh, no, he's pulled the Who Are You? Oh, and now Molly getting assaulted there by Prophet. Prophet has to go clutch now in the final 15 seconds of this fight, but Leiyung's back in the fight. He's got a grab. Jinmu's still holding onto his blade. Eamon has been so pivotal in setting up so many of these teamfight wins, and this could be the series here, ladies and gentlemen. Or at least it's going to be making it much more difficult for Seoul. Leiyung using the grab, could not get deflected. Connects onto one target. Seoul have flipped around the positioning a little bit. Leiyung goes down here. This is an opening. They still have control of point. They have positioning here. And Jinmu's holding onto this blade. Did not want to be using it into Bedosen's Transcendence. I don't know about the ordering of it, but Seoul, they win the team fight. Eamon going to be trying to at least trigger the overtime to get into a bit of a recontest, but not going to be happening there. Now, Josh, I don't know about you, but I would have liked to have seen at least Jinmu use the blade to force out some of those cooldowns earlier, some of those ultimates earlier.
Definitely. Jinmu is holding onto his blade way too long, and he has been right since the beginning of this match. He has only found 1 or 2 opportunities to pop it, and most of the time that's because he's been keeping track of Adosin's trance and knows he doesn't have it available. They are not making plays to force trance and then blade, and they are also not making plays to blade and then follow up when the trance has been forced. So they're just holding it. Jinmu is just holding his blade forever.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very similar actually, kind of what you see with, I guess, Lucio's and Sombras with EMP and Sound Barrier, because one counts without the other. Nice stick from Profit! My goodness! What a fiend! Finds the kill onto Eamon, and Eamon has been causing so much havoc for the Seoul Dynasty to get anything done. Profit's like, I've got to take this into my own hands, apparently. He's pushing the cart by himself, he's killing the tank by himself, and now it's giving Seoul an opening. Recall is going to get forced out, though. Jinmu in trouble, is going to get healed up here by Evil. A lot of ults being committed. Gravitic Flux only onto Late Young. Transcendence from Molly. Jinmu now with a blade. Finds 1, finds 2. Now he's not going to be getting the 3rd. The Flux was there. Illicit very low. Has to back out, walk away. Surely not the Shurikens. Woohoo! He gets it anyway.
Good usage of the blade there from Jinmu, actually. He managed to find a great opportunity where Badosin was split apart from the rest of the team, where the trance wasn't going to be able to save them. And that was kind of crucial too, because Seoul were getting a lot of progress. Profit's doing the perfect thing, just pushing the payload, occupying the space on the bottom of the floor, allowing the rest of his team to take control over the high grounds. Michelle working his way up around the right-hand side with the back line, and then Gesture and Illicit taking control of the spaceship.
Yep.
Chengdu are now going to put a lot of pressure on Badosin. Look at that Discord orb on him as well. They're trying to force out this trance early on, but he's got all of that rally armor. That makes it much more difficult.
Illicit has the blade, which is going to be their win condition, especially because there's no support ult, and now he's opting to pull it out, but again, he can't go in. He's got to bide his time. Ooh. He has no target. Has to go for Jinmu, but the deflector's there to dash away. Jinmu safe and sound, but not quite. Profit takes him out. Bob now going to be sending them packing into the back line. Blasting them down. Jinmu with the Resurrect as well. Chengdu are still in this fight. Graviton Surge is going to be used, and Gesture goes down from it. The overtime burns. Will anyone touch this one? Illicit forced to just try and contest, but the mines are there. Such a dangerous scenario to be in. Can anyone even get close to it? Illicit again tanking the damage, having to get healed up here, and finally the Transcendent is built up. Badosin clears the mine, allows his team to get in, but not before Toby dies to the mines himself. How does that happen? I don't know. Profit though, he has to come up huge here. Cannot get the kill. Molly builds up the Transcendence in time, healing his team, and Jinmu the blade. They don't touch the cart.
Yeah, Seoul did a great job there, honestly, of just putting players, ping-ponging them on and off the payload. They kept that overtime going in a losing fight for a long, long time. But let's be honest, the fight was lost right at the beginning of the fight itself. They didn't have the ults, they didn't have the position to be able to take that. And honestly, the key reason why Seoul weren't able to push into these positions, I think, is just because they're too slow to be able to get Michelle on the Sigma into position. I would have loved to see them try and swap Michelle over to the D.Va earlier on in this. Isn't that the purpose of running Michelle? So that you can swap and flex to the D.Va when required? Otherwise, why not run Marvel, who's been playing your Sigma for the majority of this year? What is the purpose of running your off-tank who specializes in D.Va if you are not going to attempt to run it when you're trying to play a fast-paced composition on a segment of the map with a lot of high ground?
I agree. I agree with you, Josh. That's what
As well, just Gesture and Illicit weren't really able to set up dives at any point. Profit is required to push the payload. He's the only person that can really do it. Anybody else, if they sit down there, is just going to get dived and killed. So Chengdu actually doing a great job. They understand how their team composition is supposed to work. This looks like the Chengdu of old, Brian, where they were able on occasional weeks to find team comps that just worked really nicely. And this hero pool meta, we thought it might favor a team like Chengdu, but the 5-14 record showcases that it really hasn't for the majority of this season. But this week and last week, this hero pool has worked out very nicely for the Chinese team.
It really suits them. Now we're going to see on their side of the attack, Dosin. Nasty little shot there. Takes out Molly pretty early, which is going to be helpful actually for what Seoul have yet to do. Unforgiving task, trying to stop Chengdu Hunters from pushing it in, and it's not a deep distance of which Chengdu have to meet to take away this map, take away this series. Bdosin with the dive! Oh my goodness, the peel was just there in the nick of time, but look how much damage they took. They have to back off around this corner.
Remember, Seoul Dynasty was amazing at these aggressive defenses on Eichenwald. They were really good at being able to trap Chengdu as they came in through choke points, like the one that they'll be going through as they push the payload under this underpass area. So if they can push Leityoung and leave off the high ground and force them to play the payload, that'll set up some great opportunities for Seoul Dynasty. They've just got to make sure that they don't make any mistakes until those opportunities present themselves.
Leave going with a hip fire just to try and burst down Michelle's shield. If he can at least remove it, break it, they're in a much better position here. Eamon goes for the power drive. I don't believe it connected. Maybe it did on the gesture, but they're forcing a lot of these ultimates. And look at that collapse into the close quarters here. A lovely aggressive defense. As you said, Josh, like they were doing on Eichenwald.
Is it worth it though, Brent? Is it worth it when you had to give the Transcendence for it? I mean, Bdosin's Trans got forced there, and okay, they capitalized, they get the teamfight win, that's all fantastic from the Seoul Dynasty. But now you're in a sticky position where Jinmu and Leityoung both have big ultimates that you would love to have that Trans for. Seoul...
I think I would agree with you, but I feel like Seoul are probably pretty comfortable that Primal Rage can displace Jinmu. Michelle's Gravitic Flux, if it catches Jinmu, can deal with him. They do have answers, as well as the Rally.
They have some answers, yeah.
They're going to be going with it now. They're going to use the Gravitic Flux, which forces out the Transcendence from Molly just to heal his team back up, make them weather the storm, so to speak.
A Blade here by Illicit would be huge.
Blade, Illicit takes out Lee, biggest power dive.
He did force out the grab,
takes him out. Yeah, and the grab does get forced out. Leityoung with no value from that one there. Now he's going to try and go huge. He does have a lot of charge, but Jinmu with his own blade stunned up. The flank comes out, dodges the rock, but he is in no situation to get any sort of kills, and Eamon falls. Prophet claims that one. Another one for his list. Bob, though, going to be sent straight into the back line. Stops them from really getting anything done, trying to push out here, but they're going to be shield bashing him. Poor Bob. Moved into the corner. Gesture falls. Equal trades all over the bloody shop. Potentially a res on board here. Does he want to try and commit it onto Molly? It's a little bit too late now. The body is faded, but they want to continue this fight. The Valkyrie from Evidal providing them the heals, providing them the damage boost. Just ticking onto the cart, and Eamon back in it. Once again, power driving it straight away, pumping in so much damage into the enemies. The adaptive shield's going to be keeping him nice and healthy. Power drive again into the back line, blocked by Toby, but still alive. Still there to create havoc as Jinmu dives onto Bdosin, takes him out. Then Chengdu just destroying them, tearing them apart. Seoul Dynasty trying their hardest to hold on to this one. Prophet committing the pulse bomb. The rally getting committed here by Toby to no avail. It will not be for anything, as Chengdu are going to be capping up point A.
Really close though. Seoul had a couple of opportunities there to turn that fight around or to keep it in their control. I thought with Bdosin using the trance at the end, they had almost won it, but they couldn't quite eke out the kills. I think Leityoung was the biggest factor there. Just Evaltil's Valk kept Leityoung and Eamon alive so much, and Leityoung had a maximum charge. Control over this high ground will decide who wins this map. And already Chengdu, the aggression is fantastic, but that Gravitic Flux might have just changed everything.
Are you kidding me? The Gravitic Flux, and then the grab came out from Leityoung to try and turn it, but it's wasted. One of the most impactful ultimates in the game. The Graviton Surge wasted. And Michelle, I mean, beautiful plays from him. Gonna be making the switch over to Zarya though after that Gravitic Flux, but you need to make plays like that. And I gotta say as well, this hangar phase right now of Gibraltar, one of the worst places to get stalled out in all of Overwatch. And if Seoul keep getting picks like that, okay, gets resurrected. But if Seoul keep getting more picks like that, could make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is just playtime for Seoul Dynasty. They're straight into the back. Illicit's Blade is amazing, but again gets countered by Eamon's Pile Drive. Eamon is so good at being able to shut down these blades. The CC is so consistent from him, but it's still an even fight.
He's got beautiful peel, just the way he's able to capitalize off it. Gesture still has the Primal Rage though. He's in the back line here. Prophet with the pulse bomb takes out Leave. Eamon left stranded on an island here. And I do not envy our observers right now, trying to capture this chaos that's unfolding beneath our very eyes. Still rolling forward, trying to peel from him. Just trapped. He couldn't move out of the way.
What a body block.
Couldn't get past, couldn't walk past him.
That's fantastic from Chengdu. That set them up with a fantastic condition to win here. They only need to push the payload a little bit further. Less than 20 meters, 15 meters to go. And Gesture's going to be coming back off the respawn. But Dosen was so weak. He's trying to get up to his trance. He feels like he needs it to turn the fight. And he absolutely might. This rally needs to be popped now from Toby.
Toby going to be using it, but trade it out as Molly's going to be using his own. Given that health advantage just to move into this fight. He's going to be trying to take full advantage of it. As you can see, Cloud drives in, sends everybody up, but that's going to be forcing out the Transcendence. But Dosen going to be using it to heal his team up. Gesture with a perfect dive onto the back line. Leaf goes down. Could be crucial. Instant Resurrect comes out, but they punish it. Gesture again diving onto them. Chengdu, surely it doesn't end here. Jinmu trying to turn it around, but look at this. Illicit is in the back line, has the blade, pulls it out, and he gets the kill. But Jinmu trades it out for his own. He dashes through the opposition, but Graft is going to keep him locked up. He will go down. Michelle with a beautiful ultimate saves the map and keeps him in this series 2-2.
That's the perfect end
Wow.
to an amazingly aggressive match, or rather map, that we've seen between these two teams so far.
Holy moly.
Michelle's swap over to Zarya towards the end there was great, because it allows him to do so much damage from the high ground and then still apply aggressive bobbles onto Gesture when they go for the dives. And then he's also got that grav at the end that totally counters Jinmu's attempt to clutch. And if he had not had that grav, I don't know. I've seen Jinmu win fights like that.
He could have turned it. I mean, so many moments we've seen with the buff Genji, EQO turning some of these fights. Of course, that play echoing in everybody's mind. But we're going to see how this series ends up. A reminder, Josh, what was that stat for the final map here, for map 5 of Chengdu right now?
Chengdu are Norton 6 on Busan.
6 on Busan, which is going to be our next map.
6.
We're going to see, can Chengdu do the impossible? Can they take away the series? We're going to find out after the break. Oh, actually, I don't believe there is a break. Is there? Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. I don't know.
Brilliant.
I got an email today saying there's no break for map 5s. Maybe it was a mistake. Okay, there is a break. I was lied to. Don't worry. We're going to a break. When we come back, we got the game. Don't go anywhere.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. Of course, joining us here for match number 1. You're joining us, actually, at the conclusion, because it's Seoul versus Chengdu, the final map, map 5. It's got to end here, 2-2. This series is going a distance, Josh, and I don't know about you, I'm penning it in. I'm talking to my grandchildren about this 100 years' time when I eventually live to the age of 124, and I'm going to say, my great-grandchildren, I'll say to them, listen, there was a point in my life when I was relevant in a very small budding industry, and it got to my head a little bit, but here's the match, and I'm going to force you to watch it with me.
Nice, nice. And
this is one of those games. I can feel it.
They'll be able to plug themselves directly into YouTube Gaming and just watch all the VODs from 100 years ago. I'm sure that the archives will still be great because, you know, that's what YouTube Gaming does so well. That's why we love them. That's why we're partnered with them.
Yep, absolutely. But we're heading into Busan and Chengdu's win record. Josh, you mentioned it during our game break presented by CHEEZIT Grooves. You mentioned it just before we went to the break, and now you're going to mention it again because I've forgotten the number.
It is 0-6. That's 0-6 for all of our American viewers, or I actually can't remember the word for 0 in basically any language, because normally you only learn to count from 1, honestly.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I don't really know what... I mean, I assume they just say 0 in French, but maybe not. I don't know. I have no idea.
Nil?
Possibly, yeah. I don't really know. This has stumped me. I never thought that I had this hole in my knowledge previously. I can, you know, I know most other numbers in French, but I don't know 0. That's...
I know a lot of numbers as well, actually.
Shaken. Yeah, yeah.
Uno, dos, tres.
Wow, yeah, great French.
It's not French, but yeah. You know, I know some... I know... What's French? Un, deux, trois. There you go.
Yep, yeah. We'll stop there before you offend all...
Oh,
fantastic.
I've still got it. Yep.
He's on fire.
There it is. Let's roll it out, ladies and gentlemen. Seoul Dynasty versus the Chengdu Hunters, map 5. And it's going to be a lot down onto whether or not Prophet can he come up big here. Him and Gesture have been getting a dive attempts off. Gesture often paying for his life. Chengdu Hunters off the back of Eamon's great wrecking ball plays have been quite good. Immediately, Prophet going to be forced as well. You can see that recall being used, but he seems to be getting the better of the 1v1 there. Jinmu had him checked.
There's so much pressure on Jinmu here. He needs to be pushing Prophet out so that he can't take these great positions, but it's also Jinmu's job to punish Gesture once he actually does dive. But it's a great punish on Gesture and Prophet after they get the first kill to keep things kind of even, and Jinmu can still clutch this one out.
There's no way they still win this. They've lost all their supports. Surely they don't still win this. The armor packs are there. Jinmu 12 HP. There's no way he wins it. And there we go. Seoul Dynasty turning it around. I'll tell you what the win condition was there. That was all Prophet, I think. Really taken out early, bringing down Molly. Molly having to make the switch over to the Brigitte. Oh no, Molly moving back over to the Zen now. Okay, so switch.
I like this better.
Forward, but leave on the Tracer now. And this is something to presumably keep Prophet in check.
Yeah, and it just allows them to play that more aggressive style without having to worry about their backline.
Oh, wrong.
Well, we've got a player in... picture-in-picture here, so you can see the live game that's going on at the same time while seeing what Michelle was able to do in this fight as he just finished everybody else off.
Oh, that was nice by Michelle, but meanwhile, the fight continuing. There's a fight for ants. Gesture apparently takes a dip into the lake. Not the lake, actually, that's the ocean, of course. We're on Busan, it's near the coast, but that's my geography lesson for the night. Jinmu with the blade ready and waiting. He wants to try, and I can see him raring for the kill. This is going to be unleashing his own blade, but gets shut down immediately. And now that leaves it all up to Prophet. Prophet has to try and find a couple of kills here, but it will not be good enough. Chengdu are going to be flipping around this point. Power drive from Eamon. If they get this stagger kill on Michelle, it could be pretty good, but he survives. Ooh, Prophet just getting out there with his life.
Eviltal's already had so much impact on Brig after just switching over to it. He's already got up to his rally, he was able to push people out of position, got the whip shot kill onto Gesture into the ocean. He's been fantastic so far. And Michelle's going to initiate here to try and punish Eamon, the Discord orb on him, but he zips away. You can't lock him down.
A real bad target as well, because the adaptive shields just come up after, and then he's pretty tanky, honestly. It's pretty rare that you're going to be able to force down a wrecking ball like that. Leave has a lot of armor right now, a bit of a raid boss from that rally. See if he can keep Prophet in check on the high ground. Chengdu's still in control for now. As the fight continues, Jinmu now opting to use the blade. See if he can get anything done with it. Forced the primal rage, but that's pretty much about it. As the ground is going to get utilized. That means Zipchair's going to be answering with the Transcendence just to keep his team alive. Molly sent off the edge of the map. That was Gesture at the tail end of his primal rage. Beautiful bit of skill there. able to collect that kill there onto Molly, and that has given them a beautiful opening. Chengdu Hunters are going to be falling here, despite the fact that they're trading out a couple of kills. I cannot see them winning this fight.
Eamon continues to be a little bit of a terror in the backlines, but Prophet's going to deal with him, and they get the recon test and flip it back over. This is a really back and forth first point, and I love that Chengdu didn't wait at all to make the adaptations, to move over themselves to the Genji and the Tracer. I think the best way that Seoul win this and continue to win this is by punishing Late Young. Force out the bubbles, then dive Late Young himself. You'll take that player out of the fight. Instead, it's the Seoul Dynasty whose off-tank gets punished really early on. I mean, that also works the other way around. The off-tanks are pretty open to be dived.
Blade comes out from Illicit. 9 HP in a dream, but he goes down. What a silly Blade. That's a Brenji Blade if I've ever seen one. Hopeful. Dash to the wind, much like my SR, but Late Young able to just provide the necessary peel with the shields, the bubbles. And leave with the pulse bomb, takes out Medosin. This should be a flip over going for the Chengdu Hunters. I don't think anybody can realistically touch this one. Somebody starts to contest, but Eamon is going to just run down Michelle with that little bit of trade away fire. Takes out Prophet as well, and this is really going the distance now, Josh.
So much pressure here on the Seoul Dynasty actually as they come back in. Jinmu has a blade. It's going to be countered by Bedosin's trance, but Molly has a trance all of his own, so they're just way more tanky. I guess that'll help with Michelle's Gravitic Flux as well. It's actually the Chengdu Hunters who decide to initiate, so aggressive in the backlines, trying to punish Jester immediately.
Gravitic Flux going to be used. Ooh, doesn't really get too much done because the Transcendence comes out from Molly. Prophet has to try and contest the point just to get the overtime going, to give his team a chance, and that has given them an opening. They turn their attention away for a moment. Jinmu has to turn up big with his blade. 1 kill for him. That might just be enough. Toby going down could be the difference maker right now. Only a couple of players from Seoul remain as the overtime will eventually start to burn. Only 1 player remaining on the point. It's Illicit. He will fall. Michelle will be next. And that is going to be round number 1. Going to the Chengdu Hunters. Ooh, wow.
Phenomenal play from Leave as soon as he swapped over onto the Tracer. He did so much work in that team fight, and honestly, all throughout the round. He's a beast. He's been playing pretty well on the Ashe, but he's been pressured a lot because Seoul have been playing the dive. So he's only had a couple of moments. But every time he swapped over to the Tracer, when you think back to Volskaya and now here on Busan, he's had immediately a huge impact. And I also think that Seoul have done a pretty bad job about adapting their playstyle once he does swap over. Because instead of trying to prioritize on Late Young, as, you know, to remove that focal point, that center of the team, they continue to try and dive the supports and just put themselves in poor positions. Leave now, though, is going to try the Ashe once again. He's got a lot of high ground to be able to work with now that we're in downtown.
Yeah, that high ground could be pivotal. You often see Widowmakers playing there, but obviously no Widowmaker in the hero pool, so Ashe will have to do, as you can see, Leave has perched himself up there, and now he's going to be starting to get harassed here. This is what the peel needs to be coming out from Eamon. Leave is going to be backing off. The accretion did connect onto him, but a very aggressive angle to be taking on 100 HP, a very brave man. You can see the amount of pressure being applied to him as they try and take him out, because they recognize Leave is a lot of the consistent damage that's going to be for Chengdu here. Still, the answer back, and it is going to be an early flip, and Eamon falls.
The first picks are normally so pivotal when it comes to the dive mirror, but whenever Jinmu is live, I seem like I believe in him. I feel like he can turn these fights around. It's not going to happen this time, though. Seoul Dynasty, decent dive. Leave makes the swap over to Tracer, so pretty similar to how that first round on Busan played out. And a reminder here as well that Chengdu are 0-6 this season on Busan. They have not won this map all season long. And at this point, they're 1 round up. And ahead, you know, technically, in the second round, but they're soon to be dipping behind.
Oh, nice shield bash there, coming out immediately there from Toby. Toby has the rally.
Huge power
Michelle,
drive, though.
So low, Michelle goes down. Yeah, and the damage from Eamon is elite. This guy is so good on this role. This one particular hero, he just plays it expertly. And now the blade from Jinmu very low, but the dash through damage will give him another reset. 1 slash comes through, Prophet in so much trouble. Did not have the recall, did not have the dashes. Jinmu read the cooldowns. it means that Chengdu are able to turn a fight, which, realistically speaking, they probably shouldn't have won.
Oh, Michelle goes down right at the beginning of that engagement. Michelle's only just gone over to Zarya as well. And Chengdu are in a great position here. They've got Grav for the next engagement. They've got Grav Pulse Bomb if they want to pull that kind of combo off. And I really think that Seoul are just missing a trick. With Eamon on the Wrecking Ball, Late Young is out on an island on his own a lot of the time. He doesn't have the Winston with him to be able to support and peel and put down shields. So he should be a pretty diveable target as soon as you force out those barriers. And instead, he's tearing them to pieces, and he's going to continue to do so there.
The Grav Pulse Bomb! You love to see it. Alyssa tries to trade it out with the blade of his own. He does get 2 kills, and Gesture wants to use the Primal Rage. Lei Young falls. An opening is there if Seoul choose to take it, but they've just got to come up big. Gesture so low, has to back off here. Prophet takes out Jinmu, but still, no one has got any capture percentage on the point.
Prophet's getting harassed as well. He's losing this 1v1 to Leave. Leave is just terrorizing him from behind. And the Seoul Dynasty must capture this point. This is the final fight. Chengdu could be reversing their curse on Busan.
I don't believe it. Michelle falls, Josh! This could be it. Chengdu getting their first win on Busan the entire season long. Taking a necessary win against Seoul. In the grand scheme of things, the power drive from Eamon pumps in the damage, 99%. Gesture falls. The support line forced away into the back. The Transcendence has to come out now from Bados, and he tries to heal his team up. They have to keep this going, but Jinmu with the blade. 1 kill for him. Only a couple of players remaining as Michelle moves over to the ball. They focus the targets down. Illicit dashing out just to negate the damage, just to try and peel for himself, but it will not be enough. They will not be denied. And the Chengdu Hunters walk away with the victory.
Great performance from Chengdu. The adaptation to move Leave over onto the Tracer, and then he just spanks everybody. Gets play of the game at the end of this as well. But just in terms of the work that he was able to do on that role, they immediately just looked like a more aggressive team, a team that was punishing, and one in which Eamon was still able to do an enormous amount of work.
An astounding win there for Chengdu, a necessary one as well, just in terms of the grand scheme of things, with their entire playoffs that are on the line, with every single match they play. These wins mean much more to Chengdu compared to a team like Seoul. Obviously, Seoul would have liked to have won it, but our player of the match, of course, has to be Jinmu, I think, off the back of a lot of his plays. He's come a long way, hasn't he, our Jinmu? It used to be he was a bit of a meme in the community. Used to kind of just feed into people. Used to just dash into Brigittes, not really cared about what could potentially ail him.
Yeah.
But these days, he's stepped it up. He's a much more intelligent player on the Genji, and he's got the skills to do it.
Yeah, he played really well. He played well throughout the entirety of this. I mean, there were some concerns about him holding on to plays for a little too long, but in terms of just his neutral Genji play, what he was able to do was his punishing gesture, punishing Illicit, when he was getting counter dives into the backline, Jinmu was there the whole time. And for the Chengdu Hunters in general, it's taken 5 maps both times that they've done it, but now they've secured wins over New York and the Seoul Dynasty, and neither of these teams were playing terribly at the moment. They're both playing pretty decently. So that, now, you have to put a bit of respect on the Chengdu Hunters' name. Moving forwards into tomorrow, Chengdu are taking on the Hangzhou Spark. And Spark play a totally different style. Much more Reinhardt being played there. But if you're the Spark, they're looking good as well, but you've still got to put in the work.
A little bit worried.
Yeah, and you are going to be a bit worried about this Chengdu team. They've been pulling out the upsets with consistency now.
I will say, once the hero pools open up, it's going to mean that Chengdu might not be able to get away with a lot of what they've gotten away with in this sort of meta that's developed. So it's crucial that they get as many wins as possible. But chat, it's your final time to spam that egg to match Sideshow's head. So you got to do it now, because when we come back, it's going to be Seth and Wolf who are going to be bringing all the action. And the next match coming up is, of course, going to be Shanghai versus London. That is bound to be a spicy one again, so you don't want to miss it. You don't want to go anywhere as well. When we return, more Overwatch coming up, but that's going to do it for us. We'll see you next time, but don't go anywhere. Remember, more Overwatch coming up.